Good afternoon, Year 3. This is our third session of our collage unit, which I call cutting and sticking. We're going to be doing some totally different work this week from the work that we did last week, but we're going to use the same techniques and skills that we used last week. So we're going to use our ruler skills, our cutting skills, and our sticking skills, just like we did last week, but we're going to use, not colour, we're going to use black and white this week. And I'll show you the work of the artist, and I'll show you how we're going to go about recreating or creating our own interpretation, our own way of doing that work. This is an image from an artist called Victor Vasari, and it's as far away from last week's work as we could possibly get. Last week's work was very loose and rounded and colourful. This week's work is very square and straight and rigid. We've also just got black and white. We don't know whether it's white on black or black on white, but there are white areas and black areas, and the space in between is as important as the other areas of the picture. So we're going to have a go at recreating, not exactly this, but we're going to use the same sort of principles. We're going to use white card, we're going to use a black paper, and we're going to make sure that we've got straight lines, so we're going to be using rulers. And when we come to do our work, we'll notice with this work that you've got, if I just show you here, we've got straight lines coming down here vertically and also horizontally. And when we do that, we create little squares of the white card behind us. We've got some going up, we've got thinner ones, thicker ones, we've got some squares, we've got lines coming across through. So what we're trying to do with this is a sort of art that's called op art. It's something that your eye finds quite difficult at times to look at, because there's so many things going on and there's so many different ways that work is, or the line of that work is going. So I'll show you how we're going to recreate, not that one exactly, but some things that have similar sort of principles. So this is what we need. We need a pair of scissors for our cutting, a Pritt stick for our sticking. We need a dark crayon. I'm using black, and it'd be quite nice if everyone could use black, but if you haven't got enough black, then use a dark, like a dark blue or a dark green or something like that. And also we're going to need a ruler and some paper. And what I've done, because I'm doing lots of shading on a piece of paper to start off with, I've got an old scrap piece of paper here that I can put on the table, which means that I can crayon over the top of the work without worrying about it getting onto the table itself. So the work that we're going to do involves, as I said, cutting and sticking. So this is one of the pieces that I have created, and yours will look different but similar, because it's got, if you can remember, it's got these little, see if I can do it with this marker, it's got the little squares on it that I've put through. I've put lines going vertically and lines going horizontally, going up and across the paper. And I put just one here that's going diagonally across. And I'll show you another one, which is exactly the same technique and the same way of doing it, but a totally different finished piece of work. And everyone will start off with the same things as usual, but they'll all come up with a totally different idea. So let me now show you how simple it is to go about creating something like that. First of all, we're going to use the same folding that we did last week. So I'm going to take my a fresh piece of paper, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that piece of paper down so that the corners meet. And when I've got the corners meeting, I'm going to put my hand there to stop it shifting, and I'm just going to rub that across like so. So now I've got one piece of paper that's folded into two halves, and you'll see why we're going to do that in a minute, because we're going to do two different things, and I'll show you how to do it. So once we've done that, I'm going to put that piece of paper onto my scrap or spare piece of paper. I'm going to take my crayon, and what I'm going to do with the crayon, it's like when we're doing sketching or shading, and instead of using the point of the crayon, I'm going to use the wider part here, the broader part. And to do that, instead of having it held in my hand like I would a pencil, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to lay it across my fingers, bring my thumb and my finger there, and twist my wrist. On my fingers, thumb and finger, twist my wrist. And now, instead of just getting the point, when I put it all on the piece of paper, I get a nice wide line instead of a thin, narrow line. And I'm going across the paper from side to side, a bit like a printer. And I'm holding that paper with this hand so that it doesn't go swishing off the table anywhere. I'm just going to do those end bits. See, I'm not being too fussy about that. I'm just going across. And now I'm going to turn it round. So I'm going to go, instead of the long way, I'm going to go the short way. So this is what we call cross hatching. So I'm going across again, just from side to side like a printer. What I'm doing now is I'm filling up those little white gaps that I had before. So I'm just going across and really concentrating on making sure that there's no white paper showing through. And if you really wanted to, you could come now sideways quickly, so that you come across sideways, and then turn it around and come across sideways the other way, so that it's not completely black, but it's got a nice, what I call mottled black. It's got some darker bits and lighter bits. It's not like as if we painted it. So we end up with a piece like so. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to rule the lines. So I'm going to get my ruler out, and I'm going to make sure I've got, it's about 1 centimetre. So I'm just estimating 1 centimetre's worth. And now I am going to use the point of the crayon. So I am going to go back to holding it like I would hold a pencil. And I really need to push down with this left hand, or the hand you're not writing with, and draw a nice line that goes through like so. I'm going to move the ruler across. Now, if you're very good at cutting out, do lots and lots of lines. If you find cutting out a little bit difficult, you could make it slightly wider. So I'm going to leave that up to you. The thinner it is, the better it is. But if you find that you can't cut out terribly well, or you need help, then perhaps someone could give you a hand doing it, or rule the lines a little bit wider. So what I'm doing, I'm working my way across the paper. I'm trying to keep those lines parallel so they're not getting closer to each other or further apart. Keeping them parallel lines going across. I'll just do this quickly for you. You can take a little bit more time because you're not rushing like I am. Now I can see there I need to bend that line a little bit, like so and like so. So now I've got that piece of paper and I've got all of my lines fairly straight. It's not absolutely important. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over, because I find it easier to cut along this line here, the line through there, or you can see the line clearly that way. So whichever way you want to do it, like we did last week with our sky, we're going to cut through that line like so. Now don't throw that piece away, because we're going to need that in a minute. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting along those lines, and that's all you've got to do. Again, I'm doing it really quickly because A, I can cut quickly, and B, because I don't want you to hang around too long. So there we go. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut all of those lines through. I'm not going to do all of them at the moment because that's going to be too much for us. Now, I'm going to take you will have a piece of card, hopefully. I'm going to use paper, but you'll have cards. So I'm going to put that over the top of the work that I'm doing. And now I'm going to put my first piece onto the paper. So I've got a choice now. I don't want to put it right to the edge because this is going to be sort of in the middle. So I can either put it vertically, or I can put it horizontally, or I can put this one diagonally. So I think I'm going to put this one vertically. And that's all the decision making that you need. And I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back of that paper, and I'm going to glue it to that piece of card. Put it down and then just rub it to make sure that that's nicely stuck. So that's my first one. Now, because it's my image, I have to work out what I'm going to do next. And I could put it vertically, or I could put it horizontally, or I could put it diagonally. I'm going to put it vertically, so I've got two that are the same. So I'm going to start off, but I'm going to put this one slightly higher than that one. Now that's given me an idea. I'm going to put the next one slightly lower than that one, so it's going a bit like a graph, one of those bar charts. So I'm going to put the next one there. Now it's as important, this space in between, as it is here. So how wide the distance between this one and this one will give me the space in between there, and that's important. So I'm going to do one more vertically to start off with, like so. And I'm going to use the same space, and I'm going to go back up again this time so that it's coming up like so. So I'm now starting to build up my picture, but at the moment it's not terribly interesting, so I need to put some interest into that. So if I put this one across here, I've got to decide now whether I'm going to cross it that far, or whether I'm going to make it like a bar on a gate, or like a tally chart. And I quite like the tally chart actually, so I'm going to, you have to look and see what you think looks good to you. And I'm going to put that like so, like so. So I've now made that line come across. So I've now just jumped ahead a little bit quickly here, and I've put, from my tally chart that I had, I've added two extra pieces here, one horizontally and one diagonally, and I've got another one here ready to go. So what I think I'm going to do with this one is to put it, I'll just glue the back, I'm going to put it across from one to the other. So what we're doing is we're building up this image. I've got now like a triangle shape, which I quite like there. So all I need to do now is to cut. Each time I need one, I just cut one from here, and then they don't go all over the place. So just cut one more at a time, work out where you're going to put it, and I think I might put one like so, that's going to take me across to the other side of the paper. And then all you've got to do is to use up all of those that you've got on your sheet. And again, I'll show you this that I did. I'll go back to our original work. So on this is the piece of paper that was divided into two halves. On one side, I've got lines that are coming, looking at it like this, horizontally, and on this one, lines going vertically. And these will give me longer lines and less of them. These will give me shorter lines and more of them. So all you need to do is to carry on with your sticking and just make up as you go along. This is the one I've done with the shorter lines. And make sure that it's sort of centered within the middle. You don't need to use up all of them, but if you want to, then that's fine. And then if you get an opportunity, have a go at the next one, which is this is the longer ones, the vertical ones. So it gives you a totally different, and each time you do it, it will be different. But it's the same, as I say, same skills and the same techniques. So just have a bit of fun with that, and we'll see you soon. Bye.